Here comes the nasty gram.
Send a priest to save my soul, forget it.
Welcome back to the Nastygram RPG podcast. This is Dark Legacy, Episode 11, The Last Temptation, Part 1.
Feeling it too hard is the poison to the heart of a cynic. Redemption.
Personal Diary of Kingsley Burke IV, Sunday, December 26th, 1870. Power and opportunity, strength, responsibility, good and evil. How many times do we confuse the dichotomy for concepts we think of side by side? I tend not to dwell too long in matters of philosophy alone, but now I find these things close to hand. I was not blessed from birth with strength, nor spared in life from trauma and affliction. I've always had to find my own way to succeed in this world. And when this veil was lifted to reveal a new world, I knew I must also find a new way. And I found it in her. This curse will not be allowed to continue. We will not take the easy way out, ending James's life prematurely and damning Adam and his descendants. We will best the devil, or whatever it is that comes for him. And I will do my part in this. I recall what Lydia said about great men, and I will not turn away from this burden, but I will bear it. I will bear it for the sake of James and his family, for my companions, and I will bear it to the greatness that is needed to face this brave new world.
Hey everybody, this is Jake, your storyteller.
Hey folks, this is Dan playing Silas Keene, the photographer.
Hey everyone, it's John. I'm playing Noah Fashnacht, the gunsmith.
Hey guys, this is Ryan. I'm playing Les Kershaw, the former Pony Express rider who can still go out in the daylight.
This is Josh. I'm playing Kingsley Burke, one of the good guys.
And this is Matt playing Benton Beauclair. No longer the evil character.
You were never the evil character. So what we're going to do, the last game ended with you guys coming to the decision that you would wait until Monroe's, Marlowe. Fuck. All right. You would wait until Marlowe's birthday, chain him up, wait until he was possessed by the devil, and then fight the devil.
No problem, guys. We got this.
We're going to jump into a little montage.
And roll initiative.
Yeah. We're going to jump right into
where does the devil go?
A montage of how do each of you spend the 1 week you have preparing to fight the devil? Who wants to go first?
Not it.
Sure. I will. I think
Silas
Keene is actually going to spend some time with that priest. That sounds wrong.
Come into my basement.
You're too old.
Don't forget to remind us that
Father Benedict Stewart.
he does look like Timothy
Yes.
Chalamet, though. I can't forget that.
Yeah, right.
Priest and also
Ripe for the picking.
head/only member of the Order of the Burning Blade.
Yes. And he is going to try to gather as much lore and history regarding the curse and its kind of upkeep and maintenance over the ages as he can from him.
Okay. So let's do a little scene with you and Father Benedict. Would anyone else be doing the same thing? Would anyone else be in this scene? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I think Benton would be there as well. I think he'd be less interested in sort of the lore of the Burning Blade and more trying to find out what he can about this devil or demon before he kind of communes with the ancestors to help in any way he can.
Okay.
Maybe some like details about the woman that came to the castle.
Okay.
The courier.
So, Silas, Benton, and Father Stewart are in the basement of the church.
Giggity, giggity.
The three of you are gathered around. This is actually how we started the last episode as well. You had just had that vision. So the two of you have come back to the church, and you've come back to this room with him. He leads you down the stairs, holding a lantern, kind of hiking up his robe so he doesn't trip over it as he walks down the stairs. And he says, as I told you before, I knew when I began to use this, he gestures to the room, that I was damning my soul to hell. Perhaps for the two of you, this is not a belief you share. But I understood that I was using a great dark power to fight a dark power. And as I asked before, I should hope that one of you would take over this duty. We need young men like yourselves more now than ever.
If that is to be the case, Father, Silas says, we need to know everything.
There is magic in blood. Yes, Benton?
No. Continue.
There is magic that others before me have learned to harness. It is a power that was discovered in the Middle Ages. There is a group that call themselves the Tremere. They use the magic of blood.
We are fucking playing vampire.
Yeah, we are. I wasn't far off, was I, Matt?
Nope.
I have not fallen that far down that dark path, although certainly it would be possible. Your friend has, although he's taken a different, more direct route. All the information you have, or you need, is here in this room. Rituals, components, blood.
Father, who do you speak of? What companion of ours?
The politician. He is changed. Let's jump over to Kingsley for a moment. Mr. Burke,
Jumping from rooftop to rooftop with
how are you spending that week?
I'm practicing a Transylvanian accent.
He's got a rabbit in his jaw, like drained.
I don't really know. I think, to be honest, until we sat down at the table, I didn't really know how long,
If you were 100%.
how far I went.
So you write down hunger. Yep, you got 5 boxes.
I wrote down hunger. Are those boxes empty or
They
full?
are empty. They start empty.
Okay.
Every day you check off 1 box. Anytime you rouse the blood, you check off a box.
Wait, so he's got a week, right, to go before things kick off?
Oh, no. At some point during this little prelude that we're doing, he has to feed. He has to.
That's my point.
Yeah. You can rouse the blood to heal wounds, to increase your physical attributes, and to initiate powers. You currently have 2 powers.
Okay.
You have level 1 dominate, which is a power that allows you to command a mortal to forget what has just happened.
It's like the blue pill for politicians.
Sound familiar?
Okay. Level 1 Cosby.
Yeah.
And you have level 1 potence, which is a passive ability. It means that anytime you attack with unarmed attack, your attack is lethal.
Okay.
Potent.
Okay.
Does he have to write down generation anywhere on his paper?
We're not going to get that. I mean, it works a little differently in 5th edition. The way it works is when he rouses the blood, he gets more bonuses based on the potency of his blood. So they kind of change generation. It's blood potency now, which is
Okay.
So it gets better as you get older. So when we jump to modern day, he'll
cool.
have a very high blood potency.
Right, of course.
But right now he doesn't.
I think realistically, Kingsley is spending most of this time figuring out and coming to terms with what he is.
Right.
and what he can do, and figuring out how he can use these things to help James for now.
So let's say it's been a few days. It's been 3 days since Christmas.
Merry Christmas to Bert.
And you are out on the streets of Black Valley at night, and Lydia told you what you had to do, but you've yet to do it.
Okay.
You've yet to feed.
Okay.
I'm so glad it happened to you.
I suppose Kingsley is slowly walking around the town, which is probably more quiet than it's been in the past. And he is looking for someone who is lost, or perhaps someone he thinks might be involved, if he can find anyone that might still be a part of this program, this little Order of the Burning Blade.
Sure, there's a couple widows. that you
Boy, Ryan has indicated something written to me. Yeah, maybe do I pay a visit to Dawson's wife or to the old man? Dawson's has kids, right?
He did.
He has a 10-year-old son. I'll let you think about that one.
Okay.
Well, we go back to the church. He has changed.
In what manner?
He has become whatever it is Lydia is.
I look at Benton and then back to the priest.
The power is in the blood.
He is immortal.
This is not to say that he does not still have his mind. And he may still be an ally in all of this. But much like us, he has bargained. He has chosen to use dark power to fight dark power. Make no mistake, that is what this room is. That is what you will be doing if you take over. Your friend has just taken a more extreme approach.
How do we maintain a balance then?
You remember your humanity. Literally. And where is Kingsley Burke? Is he remembering his humanity?
Kingsley is paying a visit to, what was the old man's name?
Walter Tandon.
Kingsley is paying a visit to Walter Tandon.
Okay. Let me just cross this name off the list of NPCs that will help you in the final battle. I'm not kidding. I've got it right here. Okay. You knock on his door?
I do.
All right.
It's not like crazy late at night.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's wintertime. It gets dark plenty early.
Right.
And I think
5:30.
Kingsley came around, maybe it's 8 o'clock by now.
Okay.
He's been spending a bit of time pacing and thinking before he comes to Mr. Tandon's door and knocks.
Okay. You hear a voice say, hold on a minute. And eventually the door opens.
He's standing there. His hands are crossed in front of him. He's wearing his waistcoat.
You're the politician, right?
Cane in hand. Mr. Tandon, yes. I guess we've never properly met. May I come in?
Sure. He walks into the parlor. Can I offer you a tea?
Yes, please. I will admit something to you, sir. I have, well, not been inside your home, but I've been close to it before, as you may have already suspected. When Mr. Beauclair spoke to you that day, I was some distance up that tunnel, investigating this lead we believe to be a part of the threat to James Marlowe's life, and I want you to know that we have all come around to understand a great bit of what you know.
He's
already.
in the kitchen. You're in the parlor still, and you're talking to him kind of through the open door, and you hear him put on the tea, and then he says, I know, Father Stewart told me. He told me that, well, he told me what you're going to do.
Indeed, and do you think, perhaps you think us foolish or reckless, but I want you to know that we have come to this decision with great difficulty and consideration.
He steps in the doorway and he says, I don't think it's foolish. On the contrary, I wish I'd thought of it. I wish I had been brave enough to try that myself. The way I see it, we were cowards. We took the easy way out.
I would not say that's the case either. It is a matter of great dedication and, unfortunately, a tremendous risk to all those involved. And now, perhaps we share in that magnitude of risk to our lives and perhaps more than that. But we do so in hoping that we can break this chain forever.
You know, sometimes we don't think about what we leave behind for those that'll come after, right? For me and the others who killed his father and his grandfather, we were taking care of a problem in the short term, but we were just pushing it forward. For people like you, I suppose it's ending now, one way or another.
And I want you to know that your part that you've played in all this will not be forgotten, and your sacrifices to bring this to an end are equally important. And I want you to remain at peace with that. Kingsley is suddenly right behind him.
He
in the kitchen.
says, sacrifices?
Yes. The part we all must play. And Kingsley moves with unbelievable speed and descends on Tandon.
Before your cane even hits the floor, you are behind him and you feed.
As he, before the light fades from his eyes, Kingsley kind of is embracing him, lowers him to the floor, and says, for your part in this, go to rest.
Are you killing him? You don't have to, but it is the first time you've ever fed, so I don't know, maybe...
I think he is going to kill him.
Okay.
And he is doing it in... I don't know how much he
way.
can
Super
contain himself,
kindly.
you know, but
Okay.
he is trying to not make this man suffer more than needed.
Okay. All right.
But he is going to feed until the light fades.
Yikes.
That's how most politicians wish they could end.
That is what most politicians do. They feed until the light fades. All right. Well, then.
How's that humanity score looking?
He's trying to catch up on the body count from the war.
John,
Yeah.
what are you doing to prepare to fight the devil? Sounds like something an evangelical says when they knock on your door. What are you doing
What
to
are you
prepare
doing?
to fight
Have
the
you heard the
devil?
good news?
The devil's coming, and no, Noah would have went to seek out Ashila. I don't know if she had just kind of camped out or come inside or just camped out nearby the manor.
She stayed close by, and you know where she was.
Okay. So I go to her, and I want to learn more about the medicine side to see if we can somehow maybe tranquilize James when he turns to make it potentially easier for us to do whatever exorcism that we need to do, make it more amenable to removing the spirit.
You find her in her camp one night, a few days before New Year's, and she listens to your idea, and she says, it may be a good plan. We can weaken the body. I'm not sure what power this spirit will have over him, but we can ensure that the vessel it occupies is weakened.
Yeah, it was said when Silas and Benton were in the past that the devil would have the entire mind and body and spirit. So if we can remove one of those components, perhaps it would be easier for us.
Tomorrow morning, at first light, meet me here. We'll go up into the mountains. We need to find a certain snake and use its venom. That will weaken him.
Noah nods along. Yeah.
How have you been sleeping?
I must say I have not... the nights are sleepless for me. If I do fall asleep, there are nightmares. What? Do you know what she is?
I went to the house after you did, on Christmas Eve. I spoke with her briefly. I confirmed my suspicion. When I met her in the main hall of the house, she was on her way down to James's study to disrupt your meeting. But she couldn't pass. The light of the open door filled the hall, and she cowered in a corner.
Is she some devil, some creature from a demon, or
Something like that.
how does one fight that? Fight the shadow. She was able to move between darkness with ease.
She is a creature of the night, a creature of darkness. They feed on the blood of humans. They cower from the sunlight, from fire. Those are their main weaknesses. If you can find them while they rest during the day, they are weaker.
I will. She, for all the help she has given us in this, whatever it is, crusade task, she will have to be, he like chews on his lip and says, she will have to be destroyed.
I do think that she did this out of a love for her children. But
So did John back in those many years ago.
she nods. But it has turned her into something else. She may still have her mind, but there's a beast inside of her that will eventually take hold and consume her.
Are there more of them?
There are. She can turn others into what she is, and they could do the same.
What do we do against this power?
Do you know my tribe?
A little, from what James has said and what I read in the books in his library.
Most of my tribe is far to the north of here, past New York. Our name in English means children of the first light. Seems fitting now. The light is what keeps these things at bay. The light will always be your greatest ally against them.
Yeah. Well, I will stay here, do what needs to be done for James and beyond.
tomorrow at dawn, we'll find the snake. I'll teach you more about what they are, about what you can do to protect yourself.
Danke, Ashila. For everything.
I'd like to be there. I was there. I wasn't there, rather, when he needed me. I thought this evil was his doing somehow. But he's just a victim. It's only fair that I be there for him now.
Of course, you will be there.
Okay. Ryan, what are you doing to prepare?
Probably just wandering around the manor, talking to myself about the wolf that wields the flame.
You are walking around the manor, talking to yourself, and you hear a lot of commotion coming out of a side room. There's no one here. The family has left.
Yep.
I assume someone cleaned up the bodies, or I don't know if you guys did it, or they're still there.
There was a big New Year's Day bonfire.
Oh, man.
Reginald, clean this up
Honestly,
for us, please.
it was probably you that cleaned up the bodies, Ryan. 'Cause-
You found Kingsley with a straw just
It's still good.
You're walking around. You hear commotion coming out of the dining room. You make your way in there, and I'm sorry. What is your buddy's name?
Walkara?
Walkara.
Wakara?
Wakara.
Yep. Wakara.
You see Wakara. He's got a bunch of weapons laid out on the table. It looks like he's kind of doing an inventory of his equipment. He's got rifles and daggers and a wicked looking axe.
I'm gonna walk up and see if the weapons are really there or if they're
You can feel the weapon when you touch it, but you know that it's not really there. I don't know if your character would really be smart enough to realize this, but essentially what he's doing is he is preparing for a fight. He's preparing himself. And the manifestation of that is him kind of doing an equipment check, essentially.
what you got there?
20 rounds for the rifle, 12 for the revolver, 2 buck knives, the machete, and the axe.
All right, but what's all that gonna do against the devil? Because that's what we're up against, I think, right?
He looks at you and he says, I hope.
You hope?
He nods. He's really young, right? He's like 16 or something.
Yeah.
He says, I wondered why this is my story. I've wondered for a long time why I was here. I thought maybe a curse. Maybe I did something to displease my ancestors. But this is certainly the reason. I hope that I am here to help you. But if necessary, if you should stray, then I'm here to fight you.
All right. Well, then I hope I stay on course, Wakara.
I hope you stay on course, Les. Back to the church. Dan, what are you hoping to accomplish?
I think Silas, in his research and in his discussions with the father, he's trying to understand any context to containing the curse or anything that maybe adversely affected any of the descendants over the history of time, anything that they negatively reacted to that was kind of surprising. And then probably investigating, or as much as he can, the dagger itself to see if there's anything that's revealed there.
Okay. Roll intelligence plus occult for me. While you're doing that, Matt, what did you want to do besides go down there with him?
Benton is going to, he's going to need to prepare sort of mentally and physically for whatever's about to come. So he'd be doing, he'd probably spend most of this week, like, besides going and talking to Father Stewart, he'd be doing a lot more rituals and prayers. Like, he'd be praying 2 or 3 times a day, collecting supplies and ingredients and going in and around town and collecting, like, musical instruments and that kind of stuff for some rituals and some prayers. So you notice a lot of he'd be going much harder into religion than any of you had seen before. You know what I mean?
Okay. So one thing that you notice in talking with Father Stewart, he's way more open-minded than the typical priest would be. And you know that a lot of that has to do with the fact that, he's part of this order and has dealt with all of this stuff for so long. But he doesn't seem like most priests just think you're evil and that's it. You're not Christian, therefore you're evil. He's a lot more open-minded. He actually helps you to get the things you need. And he even makes comments every once in a while about how, some of the saints are very similar to some of the people that you talk about.
He's a Unitarian.
Yeah, exactly. Voodoo is based around Roman Catholic, I think. It's a combination of Roman Catholic and Bedouin African religion.
Right. It's like a combination. And he seems a lot more open to accepting that. And through your kind of talking with him over the week and gathering these things, you both decide that the church is the right spot to actually to bring Marlowe, to have him come here before his birthday and to have this kind of encounter be in the church. So you have begun to do whatever you want, essentially, redecorate, so to speak.
Cool. Yeah. So I'd be putting wards and veves. They would be these mannequin puppets that I would start hanging around the building at entrances and windows and that kind of stuff. Really getting ready for this possession.
After a few days of doing this, you're outside hanging one of those mannequins and, you see this woman approaching, and it takes you a minute. You haven't seen her in a while, but it is Ashila. And she walks over to you and says, Mr. Beauclair, what is this thing that you hang in the window?
This is for the Iwa, for when the devil comes for Mr. Marlowe. These are here to guide, protect.
Perhaps you could put this one next to it. And she hands you this dream catcher. And she says, I'll be inside, adding to the protection.
Merci. This and man very similar. Different look, but same idea.
She nods. I think so. The devil, God, they have many names in many different religions. Yes?
Oui.
What do your people call them?
Bondi. He is their God, huh? The supreme being. Then their law. They like angels? You?
The weaver and the worm. I'll be inside.
Merci. I'll join you
We
in
have
a
much
minute.
work to do. Anyone else have any things they want to do?
Kingsley's burying Mr. Tandon.
Burying him.
Yes.
Bury him. Okay.
It's the most honest work he's done in some time.
He buries him in the tree line near Marlowe's estate. He carries him back through the tunnels. No one's around. Takes him out to the woods and buries him respectfully and says a prayer of a sort over the body.
Okay.
Jake, I got 3 successes on the intelligence and occult roll.
3 successes.
Yes.
Okay. One thing that you are able to sort of learn about the descendants, the Marlowe descendants, is that it seems like there was a sort of almost supernatural force that ensured they all lived.
Sure.
It's pretty rare, especially in the Middle Ages, for people to live to the age of 50.
Right.
And they all also had male heirs, which is also kind of weird. And they lived as well. It's weird to just have a completely unbroken line like that, and you can only attribute it to some sort of supernatural influence. But you don't necessarily find any sort of weaknesses.
Okay. I think what he's going to do is kind of in studying what the priest described as blood magic. He's going to begin researching in those areas that have to
Setting his character up for the next campaign.
research the areas of like mythology and arcane and things like that.
Okay.
And I've written, I think the concept is he's probably going to do a circle that he wants to have Marlowe stand in.
Okay.
And at kind of the 4 cardinal directions, he's going to have 4 symbols, one in Aramaic, one
right.
in Hebrew.
Cool.
Semitic.
We'll
Sure.
get to that
Yeah.
setup in a moment.
Okay.
But you also do learn, you do think that the blade is probably the best way to ensure that you actually kill it.
Okay. That
and
it's like the binding agent.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I mean, does anyone know anything about lycanthropy while we're, just asking around here?
Any werewolves want to help us out?
Got to talk to a Sheila.
Yeah.
Any preparations? You guys just going to go at it, huh?
I think
go wrong?
Kingsley's going to want to talk to Marlowe. I don't know if we all want to be there as, part of this, but I think we want, at least Kingsley wants to discuss with him what we are planning to accomplish. If other people think their characters would want to be involved in that conversation, or it might just be something.
Sure. Well, why don't we say that you guys, 3 days before his birthday, so like December 30th, you all meet up at his house in the study with him at Kingsley's lead. You sort of suggest this. Everyone's kind of been doing their own thing to prepare. He's been writing, Marlowe himself has been writing a lot of letters and getting his affairs in order. But
Standing in the doorway, I watch Burke as he forgets to bring his cane to go and get a drink.
Nice.
so you're all there.
We're in the study. Our favorite.
Yeah,
our
you're-
favorite
you're-
little-
yeah. One last trip to the study.
Got our money's worth out of this one because we're doing this at the church, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because of the symbology.
Benton's making sure to stand in the light.
It's right after sunset.
Oh,
It's like
God.
6.
Too late.
Great.
Kingsley pours a drink. Can I drink still?
Does Kingsley
I don't
sparkle?
know how that works.
Does he sparkle in the sunlight?
I believe that in order to drink, you have to rouse the blood, actually.
Oh, okay.
Excellent. This is getting.
Then
We should
maybe
do that because we should learn that mechanic for possible future campaigns.
Okay.
You go to take a drink, roll 1d10 and tell me if you get a success.
Okay. And did not.
Okay, so mark off a hunger. You have roused the blood. It's always successful, but if you fail the roll, you get a hunger.
Okay.
I think I'm doing that right. Kind of skimmed. Didn't expect to run a vampire
I think the
game.
daily ones are a rouse check. They're not automatic, but it's fine.
okay.
It's fine.
You see Kingsley take a sip and kind of grimace, not in a altogether like uncomfortable or painful way, but almost like, somebody who's tasting a strong drink they've never had before.
You're expecting milk and you get orange juice.
He kind of switches it, looks down at the glass and looks out the window, and it's kind of quiet for a beat. And then he kind of turns and realizes, probably everyone's looking at him.
At least Silas is.
Well, James, we thought it best that we come together to discuss what it is we are hoping and planning for. I know you all have been busy at preparations. Perhaps Mr. Beauclair or Mr. Keene, you can explain where we will be for this affair and why.
Silas looks over to Beauclair.
Now, hope it won't be a problem for everyone, but it'll be in the church. There's a place there where the answers came from. Huh? There will be the end, maybe a new beginning.
Silas is nodding his head. Through our research, we think that whatever chance that we have, it's best there. We have set up all manner of wardings in some hope to contain this thing when it arrives. What's more, we know that I say we know, but we are confident that the dagger is the best means to exorcise it from you. I am hoping that we can do it in a manner that still preserves your life.
He kind of grimaces when you mention the dagger, and he says, I don't know how you plan to still preserve my life. My understanding is that this thing will take me over fully. He looks at Benton, kind of said that as a question.
But I can tell you from experience, when you are possessed by a law, they do release you at the end. This is dark magic. I only can hope, but I do believe you are right.
It will be a letting.
How can you be sure, though?
We cannot.
James, I think, despite our best efforts and the earnest desires of our heart, I think the only certainty we have is that Adam will be free to live his life. Beyond that, I can tell you that it is every intent for me to do everything in my power to ensure that we see each other on the other side of this and that there is a future for you.
No. That's not the plan. That's not... There's no coming out of that church when I go in there. This is the end for me. If my body leaves that building, it won't be me. That's what this is all about, right? That's what it wants. Look, I know you all are capable men, but you can't fool the devil.
I think what he is saying is right. We may think that we have defeated it, driven it from James's body, but it is the devil tricking us. We cannot take that chance, yeah?
The dagger is what bound them to begin with. It can undo them as well.
Are you so sure? Do you know that for a fact? Or is this speculation?
Silas shrugs his shoulders and he says, it is as much speculation to believe that he cannot be defeated.
What we do know is if this thing, the devil, takes its body, in his mind, in his soul, and if we can kill it fully, yeah, destroy it completely, that is our option. Not dancing around this with a light touch. James understands the sacrifice he must make for his family, for his son.
He's willing to make it, but We have all just begun to glimpse beyond a veil that we did not know existed. And Kingsley stops and he says,
They
well,
refer to this in the modern day as flip-flopping.
that's not true. He looks at Benton and he says, that I, at least, did not know existed. Beyond this veil, there's many mysteries. But we know that James is willing to make a sacrifice if needed, and we are willing to bear great risk. But I am not willing to say right now that we know for certain that his life is forfeit. We know he goes into great risk and great peril for the sake of his entire family. I do believe that it is possible that we beat this fell curse and walk out of there.
Unchanged.
He doesn't say alive.
Silas says, the risks are great. The priest even has told us that he himself believes himself to be condemned to hell, choosing to fight this curse, choosing to try to keep it in the light. None of us may make it, but we're all here and willing to try.
Well, I have spoken to Sheila, and we have some medicine to give to dampen the body in case the devil has some untold strength or some power that we don't understand. We can at least potentially keep him sedated, yeah?
Wise.
I think the devil's going to have more power than any of us can understand, eh? But I make you one promise, Mr. Marlowe, huh? I promise you my number one goal will be to make sure that this devil doesn't leave the room. Number two, and he'll look over at Kingsley. Number two, I'll make sure to protect your son Adam from whatever darkness is around him, huh? Number three will be
No
for
one
your
nods
life.
to that.
Thank you, Benton. And thank you, Kingsley. I appreciate your optimism. Just, you need to make damn sure you make the right decision. Les, are you ready?
No, I definitely ain't ready, Mr. Marlowe. But I reckon I will be when the time comes.
All right, well, apparently I was born, according to my mother, at 3:20 a.m. on the 2nd of January. I don't know how this works. I don't know if it'll be when the clock strikes 3:20, but I suppose we should be ready before midnight.
Oh, damn, it was Central Standard Time.
Is that daylight savings? Is daylight savings a thing right now?
Not yet.
No,
The
yeah.
importance of proper bookkeeping. But I should hope that we can all at least enjoy the new year. Have one final goodbye.
Yeah.
And then we get ready and be ready when it's the 2nd.
Silas is nodding silently in the doorway.
All right. Well, I have more letters to write and preparations to make. And I suggest you all do the same just in case. Okay, any more final preparations?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Holy shotgun.
All right. Everyone except Josh. Add increase one attribute by 1 point and 2 skills by 1 point each. Josh, you already got your shit.
I got no skills. If it comes to a fight, despite my vampiric nature.
So that's the rousing the blood part. So essentially, every round you can rouse the blood. You roll that die. You maybe increase your hunger, and that allows you to add +2 to any physical dice pool.
Okay.
Yeah.
To like a specific roll.
Just like for the turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want me to make any stamina checks for my health?
No, so the stamina check. Oh, you will recover 1 point.
1 point. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's 1 a week.
Okay.
But the stamina check was it was sort of like a supernatural healing.
Yeah. All right.
And I was going to give you 1 point for every 2 successes.
Okay.
So you kind of maxed out on the right because you had 2 dice.
I think so. Yeah.
Have we recovered any willpower?
Yeah, that'd be really nice if I could
Do I
recover
still
a couple
have
willpower.
willpower?
You do. Yeah, we can recover a willpower point each.
Maybe for the my goal to find a new pursuit beyond gunsmithing.
Ooh.
Now that I'm
Is that your goal?
yeah,
I like it. Yeah, you can have another point for that.
I'm up to 3, baby.
I think just a peek behind Kingsley's, I guess, decision with Mr. Tandon, because mechanically he could have drained him, used dominate, drained him not completely, use dominate, make him forget. I think he did believe that he listened, and it sounded like Mr. Tandon was willing to, he was okay to go, right? I mean, that's how he interpreted it. But also there's a bit of vindictive judgment that ultimately he was one of the last standing of those that came after Marlowe, those that never told him the truth, that tried to perpetuate this. So there was, he was kind of being a little bit of a judge, jury, and executioner.
Uh-huh.
So I do think it's a step towards his humanity slipping a bit, but enough rationale to not not purely just giving
Throw it
in
out the
to
window.
yeah.
Did someone go and look for old Tandon? Because that's what I'm doing as my last ditch
Nice.
effort.
Tandon, Mr. Tandon.
Mr. Tandon, I know you Mr. Marlowe so well.
It's funny
I'm sure it's
because
invaluable
That's
assistance.
a list of NPCs who are going to help. One of them definitely helped.
Literally.
Yeah.
And it's funny because he was basically going to show up at the church and say like, hey, I'm going to sit outside with my shotgun. And if Marlowe walks through that door, I'm going to shoot him.
So it's like you those 3 NPCs that you had. Sheila gives like the venom and paralysis. The priest gives like knowledge and insight, and the Tandon is nutrition.
Who's hungry? Those 3 NPCs are part of a complete breakfast.
I took resolve, so I have another willpower.
Awesome. Okay. Are
That's
we
how that
ready?
works. I'm glad I took a fucking resolve. Holy shit.
I took a stamina.
You have all enjoyed a nice dinner and a nice evening with Marlowe, his mother, Sheila, Benedict Stewart, and the time has come. It is January 1st, 1871. It's almost midnight, and you all finish your last drinks, and there's a sort of quiet that falls over the room. And Marlowe says, well, I suppose it's time. Gentlemen, again, I'd like to thank you for answering my letter. I apologize for the inconvenience that this has caused all of you. Should we go to church?
Yeah.
Matt, help me describe what the church looks like on the inside.
All right. So inside the church, you see lots of candles. There are these, I guess the best equation to them would be like the Dia de Muertos dolls, like those kinds of skull-faced creatures, those skull-faced like mannequins, small dolls, like anywhere between like 6 inches and a foot, and they're hanging.
Are those like the Mexican sugar skull?
No, it's
things?
the other one. It's like I know which one you're talking about. It's just like the top half of the skull, Matt.
No, just that artistic style. of the Dia de Muertos, like that kind of art style of the faces and stuff. It's their similar art style between the two. But they're in sort of different. They all have different colors associated with them. So there's some that have reds and blacks. There's others that have blues and greens. There's also lots of herbs around the room: rosemary, sage. It smells.
Josh, are you allowed in here?
It smells amazing.
What about garlic, Matt?
There is garlic, wild garlic. And then on the walls, you see painted all these different symbols in VVs. You remember one of them, he laid down in cornmeal on the table that he did the tarot reading on. But cool. There's multiple around the room, and there's some on the floor, and there's in the center of the church, he has set up a large circle, and inside of it is like a pew that is going to be for Marlowe to lay down on, and around it is a large amount of candles, different sizes, burned down. It looks like he's been in here for a while, like, you know, setting things up, practicing, kind of getting the room to feel right for this.
Dan, what do you have set up in there?
I think Silas took what he found from some of the books he read and set up 4 symbols outside the circle in the cardinal directions. They're all symbols meaning essentially the same thing. One is holding in Aramaic, another is containment in ancient Hebrew, another is binding in Semitic, and the last one is restraint in Greek, ancient Greek.
Kinky.
And yeah. And he traces out those 4 symbols in salt, and when he's done, he cuts his hand and uses his own blood to loosely outline those symbols again.
Nice.
Magic is in the blood.
How you doing over there, Mr. Burke?
Outside of your circle, Sheila has used this sort of chalky white substance to draw 4 large arrows on the floor, which are, you know, a symbol of protection to her people. And they're all pointing inwards towards this pew where Marlowe is going to lay down. And then on the door of the church, the main door, there is a tortoise shell that has been like nailed up to the door. And you see Father Stewart, he's a little, perturbed by all of the things that are in this church. He's open-minded, but also you just put a fuckload of pagan symbols in his church.
It kind of reminds me of that saying, you can't tie a knot, tie a lot. We're just throwing everything we got at it.
But he is in his ceremonial mass robe, and he is chanting a prayer in Latin.
Kingsley is standing aside with Marlowe, maybe walking in last with him, alone, out of earshot. And he turns to him and he says, James, I want to thank you for reaching out to me, for believing that I could be of aid. I know I'm not like these other men here. I know I'm not like my brother Charlie and not like yourself in many of those ways. And I thank you for believing in me. And I want you to know something. I see a future for you, James. A future at the very head of this country. Standing inside the Oval Office. And if you come out of this, I want you to speak to me about that. He's then going to use dominate
to make him forget that.
Yes. Kingsley has a theory.
Okay.
I would like to be your VP.
That if this works as he believes it does, and as Lydia explained, and as maybe he has experimented with a bit in the last week, that James will forget that last thing he said.
Okay.
And if James remembers that, then it might not be James.
Okay. Interesting.
The theory might not be true, but
throwing everything we got at it.
tie a lot. You all have noticed. I think Kingsley has been fairly aloof and probably hasn't really had to go out of his way to hide because everyone's been busy kind of doing their own things. But, you just haven't seen a lot of him. But you can probably all tell somewhat of a difference, whether...
Like we come into a room and he's curling and he's like 1,001, 1,002.
James sort of smiles and he's about to respond, and then you look at him and you say, "Forget." And he says, "I'm sorry, were you saying something?"
Just thank you, James. That is all.
Glad to have you by my side.
I'll be right there through all of this.
I wrote some letters. Oh, a new will. It's in my writing desk in the study. He goes and sits in the pew. And are you guys chaining him up, or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Benton doing that?
Yeah, he's used to working with chains. He knows a good way to make it so people can be immobilized in a chain.
Yeah, Noah's helping him out.
Are you going to say the Darth Vader? The circle is complete.
Oh, he takes no pleasure in it. You can see that he's uncomfortable doing it, but he's doing it very well.
Kingsley's going to draw up a chair right next to Marlowe, kind of cornered from him.
And I'm kind of imagining where Benton set this up is like there's like a support beam for the church that's what he's chaining him to with this pew. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Suspended?
No, like on the ground.
Okay.
But
gotcha.
just to something solid so that it's not like he's just going to be able to wiggle.
He's like sitting on the ground with his back up against this beam?
Or on a pew. Yeah.
With the beam right behind it.
Okay, with the beam. All right. I get it.
Time to the cross.
Sheila comes over with a cup with this boiled down venom concoction in it, and she says, "Drink it at midnight. Its effects will only last 4 or 5 hours."
I take the cup and stand next to Marlowe.
You all sort of settle in and prepare and wait. And the clock strikes midnight.
Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of the Nastagram RPG podcast. A few quick thanks for our badass intro music, A Wilhelm Scream. They have an awesome new album, Lose Your Delusion. Go check it out. For our outro music, Adrian Von Ziegler. All scores are by Adrian Von Ziegler and Antti Martikainen. No Dean on this arc, but if you want to listen to him, check out the great shows over at Liberty Street Geek, The Lost Drive-In, Kirking Off for your Star Trek love, and Mind Killer for some Dune talk. Lastly, guys, this is our 4th arc, and we are loving it. We have a lot more planned. To do that, we need you. You hear it all the time, but it's true. Podcasts won't exist without listeners, and we need your support and involvement. Ratings, reviews do make a huge difference, and so does telling people about the show. People that like role-playing game, people that like storytelling, anybody think that might dig this. So spread the word, spread the love. We got a lot more coming. See you next week.
That's nasty.